I want to hear you for sure.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Uh, okay, so it is 11 o'clock on the dot Central Standard Time and 7 o'clock on the dot East Africa time, and uh, and we're gonna get started here. My name is Ben Wright. I am the banjo player in the Henhouse Prowlers, bluegrass band based in Chicago, and we have a nonprofit organization called Bluegrass Ambassadors, inspired by our uh, the gift we've had of being able to travel all over the world and get to know people like the guy sitting across the screen from me here. Uh, if you're following us, if you're watching this on Facebook, at the roughly middle of the day in America or in the evening in Africa, don't hesitate to click the Zoom link and join us there. It's a much better place to ask questions and interact with us. But I do have the rest of the Henhouse Prowlers on the line here, checking for questions on Facebook, and they should transfer them here. Just it's a little bit easier if you do it here. Anyways, uh, if you're on Zoom at the end of the call today or at the end of the interview today, there will be a survey that goes out, and don't hesitate to fill that survey out and help us improve this. I'm going to I'm going to say that we are working really hard to pay all the musicians that we've been interviewing because this is a very difficult time to be a musician. And Joe, you have to remind me how to do that after this call,
Okay.
because
It's my pleasure.
sending money across that distance can be a challenge. But so if you want to
Right.
help us out, don't hesitate to go to bluegrassambassadors.org and donate. It helps us pay the musicians and keeps us working through these interesting times, to say the least. I want to give a tiny bit of context as to how we're connecting to this guy across the internet here. A couple of years ago, we did a performance and I gave a talk at the African Studies Association annual meeting in Chicago, and there were a ton of people there. There was maybe 15 people in the room, but it was really cool. And we played a song called Sitchalos by a Ugandan musician named Eddie Kenzo. And I had a conversation after that presentation with a Ugandan American woman who had been in Uganda and heard our version while she was there. And she and I struck up a friendship, and we got on the phone and started talking. And she's an ethnomusicologist, graduated from Harvard, and now is a professor of ethnomusicology at Hartford University in Connecticut. Her name is Crystal Klingenberg, and she's been a really fabulous resource to the Bluegrass Ambassadors. She's on our board of directors now and really helps us a lot. And a couple weeks ago, we had a board meeting, and I said, "Boy, I'd love to get somebody from Africa." And she said, "You got to talk to this guy." And so this young man sitting across from me here and I connected, and I realized he was the perfect person to do this with. So we'll talk about where he's from and all sorts of cool stuff, but I'd like him to just get started with a tune. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome uh, Joe Kahiri. Go for it,
Thank you,
man.
Ben.
Yeah, absolutely.
Katika visika kwa unyasha nazakena natenago nazakena natenago tene komawe tene kiun katika visika kwa unyasha nazakena natenago nazakena natenago.
Oh no. Uh, I believe the connection was lost, which I was aware might happen. It's sometimes difficult to get things going there. Let's hope Joe rejoins us. I'm going to send him a WhatsApp message, and in the meantime, I've got some other stuff to show of his until he joins back up again. Yeah, he's gone now. It's just me on the screen. That's okay. I'm gonna play a tune of his here while I wait for him to get back in. Joe and I had quite a bit long talk about this song. It's a really beautiful tune that he wrote, and they actually filmed a video of it in outside of Kampala in a village. And the song is about kind of not allowing the rest of the world's view of Africa keep children from having dreams. I wish I had recorded some of the conversations I had with this guy this week because they were pretty powerful. But this should convey some of that emotion.
Songs of Chuguri Day, songs of Chuguri Day, songs of Chuguri. Our songs are poem of poem, our hearts of hearts. We sing the word of love, we sing for children. We sing for Chuguri, and we sing for you.
They said that we can't make it, we can't make it, we can't make it, but they don't know who we are. They said that we can't do it, we can't do it, we can't do it, but they don't know where we're from. Iwe mwana wanje we, iwe mwana wanje, iwe mwana wanje we, iwe mwana wanje, iwe mwana wanje, iwe mwana wanje, iwe mwana wanje we.
Uh-oh. Hey, Joe. Hold on a sec.
Hey, sorry about that.
No, it's okay, man. This is the world we live in. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to stop my. Well, go ahead and continue playing, please.
All right, okay. Jirehi ajire kajara kwegure ntende yoburo saga majingwa sera chi asera chitanga nejuga vana varion varira yawe
Beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I just spilled a glass of water. uh, so, Joe, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at right now. Actually, why don't you tell us that where are you calling in from?
Well, right now I'm in Kampala, Uganda. I live in a little neighborhood called Bugolobi, and I'm at home. So I just using one of the rooms at my place.
Okay.
Yeah, and just chilling here. It's quite a warm, sort of warm and humid evening. It's been quite a hot day.
Yeah.
We're second day after semi-lifting our lockdown. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting time right now.
Yeah. Also, I didn't know that they semi lifted the lockdown. Huh? That's interesting.
Well, yeah. So we've had a very interesting lockdown because it's not like lockdown. It's not that you can't get out of your house, but you can only go as far as your feet can carry you. So you're not allowed to drive. There's no public transportation allowed, or I mean, there's special cars that have like essential services, but the rest, everybody else can't drive around. So that's as much of a lockdown as there is, and then there's a curfew, so you have to be in your house by 7 p.m. And so
Wow.
that's what our lockdown has been like.
I don't want to talk about that forever, but it is interesting. I mean, we're all in
And
similar situations across the planet right
right,
now, which
yeah,
is part of what inspired me to want to do this kind of thing. Is I think it feels a little bit better when you realize it's a global thing and not just in your
we're,
neighborhood.
we're all
You
we're
know?
all connected. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
true.
I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
heard that Uganda, the borders were closed, and so you couldn't come in and out of the country. Is that right?
Absolutely. Even now,
Yeah, I
yeah,
heard.
even now you can't go to the neighboring country. You can't fly a plane out. I mean, unless you're in a certain special essential category.
Right, right. Well, anyways, I appreciate your update on that.
Yeah,
That's it's interesting times we're living in. So,
true.
can you can you give me a little bit of your personal history, like where you grew up and where you learned to play music?
I grew up in a little town called Kabale. It's in the southwest of Uganda. So I was in the town that's surrounded by villages. I'm from a village called Mparo.
I found this
Um,
picture. Uh,
right,
is that
yes. So that's like three maybe 4 kilometers away from where I actually grew up.
okay?
If we could back out far enough, you would be standing on the hill that I grew up on.
Oh, really?
And then so that's Lake Bunyonyi. It's like the Christmas sort of special days destination place.
Sure.
Apparently one
I
of the
found
deepest lakes in the world as well.
I found another picture here. Does this look like Kabale to you?
Oh, right there, that's Kawale town right there. And the oh my gosh, so the building, let's see, which one is it? One of them was my dad's office. One of those
Really?
buildings. Yeah. It's changed somewhat. They sort of Yeah, I can't tell which one it is, but it's one of the just before the green painted shop. So those Indian style shops were, um, it's kind of how the town was built, and so the actual position that this photograph has been taken from is just on the hill that overlooks that road, which we used to like walk on almost every day as kids. Like lunchtime, pass by pubs at the clinic. That's where my dad's clinic was.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one, man. Giving me such a good
Thanks.
memory. Yeah, that was.
So is
It's been about. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
no is that where you learned to play?
That's where I learned everything. I grew up. I used to play an instrument called enanga. Um, this is right here. I had intended to play it tonight, but I snapped.
I snapped the string, and I can't seem to find shops open right now. But
Yeah, right.
it's got like one string that runs all through. So you wind it around the instrument 6 times, and then you increase the tension. Like you play with the pitch by increasing and decreasing the tension. And so I grew up playing the instrument. It's a very strange instrument because it's a string instrument, but it's also a percussion instrument. While you're playing, you like hit the board, and you hit the board and you pull the strings, and then there's like a lot of muting and slapping, and so all the rhythm and the melody comes out of one instrument, and it's usually used for telling stories. So you tell stories about, I make up stories, and usually one song is about like what 12 to 15 minutes long.
Wow.
Very monotonous, but very bluesy. It sounds very, very bluesy when you hear it.
Yeah, and is there a standardized tuning for an inanga?
There is a standardized, so it's like a tune that you sing in your head, that tells you where the notes are. I don't know. The way I learned it is quite intuitive, so it's hard to tell you that these are the notes. But then when I start to pluck along the strings as I sing the tune, I can then tell like this is what it's like. It's almost pentatonic, but then
Okay.
one of the notes is like in between the notes. So you don't exactly, yeah, it's not an exact pentatonic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you and I have a mutual friend, Munyakazi in Rwanda, who plays the
Yeah, Deo.
inanga, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Deo, right, and he sent us a video that we were hoping to collaborate with him on, and that note was messing with us, and we were like, "Is that out of tune? Is it
Yeah,
like we
yeah.
don't have half tones in America,
Yeah.
and it really was like ah." So I'm
I
sure the
totally get
rest of
that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure the rest of the band who's tuned in right now is like ah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you explaining that.
Yeah, that's
So
that's that's exactly how it is. Yeah.
where like you started on the Ananga? How did you? I
Yeah.
mean, you play some stuff that sounds a lot like the blues on guitar.
Yeah.
Where did the guitar come
Yeah.
from in your life?
So I was gifted my first guitar by a Canadian lady who rent my dad's house. I used to go over to her house, and I was always fascinated, like supremely fascinated with the guitar. And so when she had me playing Nanga, she said, you know what, this could be something that you could bridge perhaps. She's called Beverly Peter. So we used to talk a lot. She was an artist. I found a lot of things that she's knitting. When I was leaving the Peter family, then when they were leaving, they left the guitar behind, and I think asked my dad or my mom to bring it, which I found. Took me a while to learn how to transfer what I was playing, but then, and by then I'd never listened to any blues music. But there's a way that in the very cultural Bachiga music we sing, and the scales, when I listened to the blues, it sounded very, very familiar. And so I started to pick that up. I picked up a very big liking for the blues because it sounded very familiar. I mean, a lot of the runs, a lot of the ways they arrange the music is very uncannily similar. And to this day, when I play the blues to my mom, she says, it's funny how you picked up that music and you translated it. I'm like, no, mom, this is the blues. This is different. But it sounds very close. Yeah.
That's cool. Can
Yeah.
can you play us? Can you play us a little, like your version of the blues? Is that what you would
My
call it?
version of
You mentioned you called it something else. Did you call it Bachiga blues or
Yes, I
like
called it the
what did you?
Chiga blues.
Right, and
Chiga
and
blues. Yeah. Yeah.
so you come from Bachiga, and that's why you
Yes.
call it that. Okay,
Yeah, so
play
I
us
call
some
it that.
Bachiga blues.
Okay, so the Chiga blues is it's a hybrid, so it's not exactly what would be played on the Nanga because some of the notes would sound flat, so it's adapted a little bit, and then I just like mix it up with that traditional bluesy sound, and it's yeah comes something like.
yeah, 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 yeah. Abirizigana, nizoza mtwara. Abirizigana mawe, nizoza mtwara. There she goes, looking for that 20%. There she goes, there she goes, there she goes, looking for that 20%, yeah. Yeah, as if it's not enough, no, no. As if it's not enough, no, mama. As if it's not enough, no, no, no. As if it's not enough, well, mama, there she goes, looking for that 20%, yeah, yeah. There she goes, there she goes, there she goes, looking for that 20%, yeah. Abirizigana, nizoza mtwara, abirizigana mawe, nizoza mtwara, yeah, yeah, roko mawe. There she goes, there she goes, there she goes, looking for that 20%, yeah, yeah. Ngura chips za mutwaro, tiwampa moraro, nyombe kesho mparo, ati tilo za mucharo. There she goes, mama, 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 yeah. Looking for that 20%, yeah, yeah. There she goes, there she goes, there she goes, looking for that 20%, yeah. My way, yeah, my way. Roko jende, roko my way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Roko my way, roko jende, roko my way. There she goes. There she goes, looking for that 20, looking for that 20, looking for that 20%, yeah, 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 yeah.
That was amazing. Obviously, there was some English in there, but
Yeah.
what was the language you were also splitting between there?
So the language is called Ruchiga.
Okay.
It's the language of the Chiga people. And a lot of the lines that I sing, even when I sing in Ruchiga, are almost copy paste what you'd hear from when you're listening to Nanga music. And so then I just bring in the English lyrics into that, just to give it a bit of context, because I want it to be a hybrid of blues, not so much a traditional form of music.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into talking about your band Qwela. And is that is Qwela the correct pronunciation? Like at first I was saying Qwela when I talked to Crystal yesterday. She thought maybe it was Qwela. Help me pronounce it correctly.
Well, so you would pronounce it as Qwela, yes. I come from my language. Every L is pronounced as an R, and
Okay.
Qwela is adapted from a word which means bright. So Qwela.
Qwela.
So yeah, from the traditional Ruchiga word, it would have been Qwela, but because then we sort of moving forward with the times and with what's popular today, we just say Qwela because it's easier,
Yeah.
and shorter, and yeah.
That's cool. So it's Qwela,
Yes, Qwela.
and the guys are going to share links to your band's Facebook page in the
Awesome.
chats, so
Okay.
people can go check it out. One of the things that I find so interesting about you, I mean, that's your band. You're a band leader, right?
Yes, yes, I am.
And when did you start Qwela?
We started out about 2006, I would say. At that time, we were calling ourselves Kelele, Kelele is a Swahili word which means noise. But then that name very quickly caught up with us because it was like kelele. Kelele is like it's noise, but not in a pleasant way. It's like a racket, you know. So yeah, we figured no, this might work against us along the way somewhere. Maybe produce some jokes that we don't even want to be joked about. So yeah, so we decided to find another name, and so Qwela is what we landed on. We thought unique, short, easy to interpret. It has, like, when you go across the African continent, you'll find different meanings. So even when I was in Johannesburg, I found that in Zulu, Qwela means two things. It means to rise up or to climb up onto something. It also means to make music with a flute. Whereas over here, it can mean bright, it can mean to sweep, it can mean breath. So yeah, so I always say we're bright, we're rising, and we're making music. Qwela.
And we won't leave a mess when we leave the hotel or something.
Yeah, and we'll sweep. We have fresh breath sweeping through it.
That's right.
Something
That's
like
right.
that. Yeah, yeah.
So what? Qwela is based in Kampala, and are you able to make a living as a musician? I know right now is a very difficult time for all of us as musicians, but pre-COVID was. I mean, how many shows were you playing, and was it something that you could? Were you a professional full-time musician?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I make, so we've got seasons. There's that season after, from about February to about, um, maybe May, June is a bit of a dry season, and then it starts to pick up again July, August, then September. So then October, November, December, January is very, very busy, and that's when you make most of your money. So you make your money and you make sure you save, you sort of pace yourself and make sure that then when Feb comes around, you're just down to, get back into studio, create some more stuff, rehearse some more stuff, get better at your craft, strategize for the next season that's coming in, how to best trap that money. I'd say the most gigs I do is like corporate events. Once in a while we'll do a concert, but you can only do so many concerts, given that most of them are in this town, and Kampala is not such a big town, big city. So once you've done some 3-4 shows, you've done the town, and then we haven't done that many outside of town. So we don't do that many concerts in a year. Every once in a while we'll get like a road trip, a little tour here and there. But the most money that we make is from the corporate events and weddings and parties, house parties, I don't know, celebrating something or the other. Bands are quite a popular thing around here right now.
Yeah, I mean, we got to go out a couple of times in Kampala, and we'd be in a small club, and there'd be a 7-piece band, or 6-piece. I remember seeing Sewa's band, who we'll talk about shortly here, in a very small club, and it was a big band. It was a lot of players, and it was clear that there was an appetite for live music in Kampala.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I mean, we love our live music. We love to party. We love to go out and socialize. I think so. Bands at this point are now like the cool thing. I mean, it's been a culture over, even in the 60s and 70s, it was a thing. There was a time in the 80s when sort of DJs took over and digital studio stuff, and people were performing with backing tracks. But then it picked up again. So I would probably say like around the time when Qwela started was like a whole new wave of live music that came up, started again, and the young people got fascinated with live music. Musicians started cropping out of nowhere. The service provision got better, and so right now it's like, yeah, pitch time. It's like everybody who can put up a band will make something at least. It's quite
Yeah.
a popular thing right now.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So why don't you? I know you've got another instrument you're going to show us here,
Yeah.
and while you're grabbing that, I'll kind of give my little spiel. If you're following us on Facebook, don't hesitate to join us on Zoom. There's a little bit more of community here, and you can ask questions of our guest, Joe Kahiri from Kampala, Uganda here. And we were just talking about the nightlife in Kampala, which I've been lucky enough to experience a couple times and really had kind of the time of my life, hopping between clubs on a couple of nights there. When we go on these trips, we're pretty busy, but we always manage to get at least one night off. And one of those nights, I was at a club and met the guy who invented the next instrument that he's about to play here. And I bet there isn't even a single one of these in the States. Maybe a couple by people who brought them here, but I think this thing is fascinating. I'm excited to hear him talk about it. So, Joe, give us an introduction of what that thing is that you're playing there.
What the thing is that I'm playing here. So this is called the Janzi. I
Janzi?
don't know if you guys do very well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called
Beautiful.
the Janzi. I guess it's named after Janzi, the band. Who the founder is Sewa, who is the creator of this instrument. I would kind of say it's a sort of there's a bit of a similarity between it and the adungu, which is like a traditional harp, but then this is unique in that it's got two heads, and you've got a pentatonic scale on one side and a major scale on the other side, and so they sort of play in between each other, and yeah, so this is the Janzi instrument.
Yeah, I mean it's a very modern take on a traditional African instrument. I actually have a picture of an adungu just for reference here. Would you say that's that's really old? I've seen more modern adungus, but like you said, there's two necks on yours versus one on that one, right?
Yeah. And I think that the other thing that I like about this is that with this one we've solved the tuning problem, because with the adungu it has wooden pegs that are quite thick, make it harder to tune and also to stay in tune. So this one with the sort of guitar style pegs, you can actually, like, it holds the tuning for a while, makes it much easier to play along with a band or with an ensemble of any sort.
Yeah, we just dropped a Wikipedia link for the Janzi. I actually tried to look for a place where people might be able to buy it, but I don't think he's producing them in large quantity yet.
No, I do know that he has a workshop, but I think that it's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
I think he's still trying to figure out. He only got the patent, I think, last year, and so mass production, I think that's a thing that's going to happen with time. So I'm proud to be one of the few holders worldwide of the Janzi right now.
Yeah, that's really cool. Crystal mentioned that it's kind of in between an adungu and a kora, and koras are a more West African instrument.
Yeah.
And just as I did see a kora player once in the Gambia who performed, and it took him an hour to tune his instrument before he played, because he didn't have those tuners.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say it's kind of similar. The kora has a bridge instead of so it's got like a straight, what do you call this thing? The neck is like horizontal to the body, and then it's got a bridge over here. And then the tuners are just like pieces of fiber that are strapped around the neck, and so you twist them to get your tune, but then the angle of tuning, and then with time they sort of like slip back. It's pretty difficult to tune and stay in tune with a traditional kora. So
Yeah.
yeah, this does solve a lot of that.
So let's hear it.
All right. So this is a munderere, means just leave me alone, let me be. Some they see, and some they know, some they hear, and some they talk, some they hold, and some they walk, and some they hear, but they don't talk. Some they see, but they never talk. Some they hear, but they never speak. Some have eyes, but they never see. Some have hands, but they never feel. Where we going? Where we going? Where we going? Where we going? When will we ask the questions? When will we ask the questions? When will we see the truth? When will we feel the truth? Some they see, and some they hear, and some they talk, and some they silent, some they walk, and some don't, some they see, but they don't talk.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, really, really, really beautiful. I love the what was it? Some have hands and they never feel. Some have eyes and they never see. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Pretty much just talking about how we we get to a point where we're so comfortable in our own little bubble that we're afraid to ask the questions that might disrupt the reality of what we're living in. We close our eyes and our ears to things that pertain to other people that are not us, and so are inconvenient, because if we opened our eyes and ears to them, then we would have to listen. And when we listen, we would have to say something. If I acknowledge that I have a voice, then I have to talk. If I acknowledge that I've seen, then I have to do, it gives some sort of responsibility on me to do something about what I'm experiencing. So a lot of the times, to avoid that responsibility, we'd rather just shut our eyes. We see things that happen, but nobody wants to be the one to say it. Nobody wants to be the one to address it. Nobody wants to be the one to get their hands dirty dealing with something that everyone sees but nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You're a songwriter and a philosopher.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I like to think of myself as such, you know, Aristotle, Kahiri.
That's right.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually have a really great question here from
okay.
Matt Reese. Uh, he says, uh, since Uganda is starting to lift the ban, the lockdown,
Yeah.
has there been any thought from you or your peers in the music scene there about what's next? You know?
I mean, this is the question that we are constantly
Yeah.
asking each other, and sort of grappling with because, um, first of all, I have to say that this entire experience has really opened our eyes, to many things that we ignored before. It was a very traditional gig world that we were in before. You know, just sort of find your gig, set up, play, get out. Um, the possibility that, you know, you could go a month, 2 months, 3 months without a single booking or without the ability to put up anything was not something that we thought about. So when all of that happened, suddenly, you know, people had to find little options of how do we do this thing. Um, well, there's something our president called scientific wedding. People have been doing scientific weddings, which is like a wedding, but it's you and the reverend and like a singer, and everybody is like 10 meters apart, and you know, few people in a big space. And so we also started to come up with this thing called a scientific gig, where you play, but at a distance, and you know, sort of social distancing while they listen and enjoy, finding ways to like sit up on your balcony and face the speakers outside, and people can gather out in the parking lot. And then some of those are sometimes frustrated because, you know, where you have to work is neighborhoods. And then, you know, doing, live Facebook, live YouTube, Zoom, type of arrangements like here. So
Mhm.
those things have put a lot of ideas in our minds, that are definitely not going to just go away because a lockdown has been lifted. And those are things that we will probably need to explore. Also, we're quite aware that, yeah, lockdown will probably, I mean, it's being lifted in phases, but chances that you're going to be able to have like a full blown gig, I mean, who knows until when, are not very high, you know.
Mhm.
We've been blessed that our COVID stats are very low over here. We have very few known infections. Some say it's because we haven't done a lot of tests. Others say it's because we've been blessed. Whichever version of the story, we're not seeing people dying that much. We haven't had anybody die a COVID-related death, and we haven't had any serious sicknesses, um, that we know about. And so and so everybody's being very careful, but at the same time wanting to return to life as it was before. And so we have been asking ourselves, what next? What happens? There's debates. There's a lot of Zoom conversations that happen between people in the industry, amongst us, and you know, expert this, expert that, talking about the different options of then how to move forward, trying to establish some sort of new normal within the normal, crazy normal that we have right now. I can't say that there's one particular path that anyone has taken. Everybody's sort of feeling around in this sort of chaotic space for the opportunities. For sure, I know that we are not. The last thing any musician in Uganda is doing is sitting down and just waiting for things to get better. Definitely, everybody's trying something new, new ways of recording, new ways of accessing studio time and everything. There's a show that we used to do called the Qwela Junction that brings musicians together. We're thinking about how to then do the Qwela Junction lockdown edition type of thing. We also have a platform called Mobile Money, which people can pay directly to your phone. And so how about charging a little bit, maybe just $1 or $2, to put up a show that then people pay to get the link and be a part of. And there's been a few musicians who have done that very successfully. Yeah, so different things.
Yeah. It's what you just said is kind of exactly the conversations we've been having here in the States too, about how to move forward. It's not safe to get on stage inside of a club right now, and it may not be for a year or two. We just don't know. So it's definitely, has it. I don't know about you, but there definitely been, in the past couple of months, I've had some dark times. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, some times where I feel like, why did I make a mistake 20 years ago when I decided I wanted to do this for
I know. But then I tell you, I've had many of those nights. I've had many moments of reckoning. But then I also realize that this is a thing that a lot of people who are in private business are having to grapple with right now. Not just musicians, but anybody who, there's people who have set up entertainment companies that, if they've invested. A friend of mine, pretty much in Feb, his shipment of equipment arrived, like huge outdoor equipment, lighting gear, stage, sound, everything. And then he's gone through all this expense, he's brought it in, he's hired a warehouse that he's paid rent, and basically he needs to roll out. And then, hello, guess who's here? COVID, So
Right.
it's not just musicians. It's like, in Uganda, we have a very huge private sector, and a lot of those people are not on the essential goods category. And so there's been dark times for many people. But then also, I guess, the opportunity to sit down and think, how do I reimagine this situation, and how do I make the most out of it right now? And all sorts of things keep popping up from that.
I wanted to bring up Qwela Junction because I saw a bunch of videos of it, and I think it's a really great example of why you're a leader in the community there, because you've taken your band's name and used it as a way to feature other artists in the area, and I that's something I feel pretty strongly about. It's like, in Chicago, we have a small group of bands that play in our genre, and I don't think it serves us to compete against each other. And I just have a lot of respect for the fact that you actually set up a concert series to feature other bands. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing that up. So, and it is very much a very big part of my philosophy. I believe a lot in collaboration and cooperation. Look, we've got a very small industry here in Uganda, and probably much smaller than a lot of other places in the world. And also, we have a situation that doesn't particularly work in our favor, which is that there's that post-colonial hangover, which, believe me or not, 50 years after colonialism, it's still there. That things that are from within, things that are local ideas, local talent, just doesn't measure up to talent from elsewhere around the world. And so whenever you have a big budget shows that get sponsorship from the big corporations, it's always, some artist from overseas, it's always some band from overseas. It has to have some sort of credibility stamped in by the fact that, okay, we brought in an American dude, a Jamaican guy. Even from anywhere else around Africa, except it can't just be like a homegrown thing. If it's a homegrown show, then the budgets are really small. They don't have as much expectation. They don't go out with as much ambition as they would have. And so we realized, we're not going to have the big budgets. We're not going to have the we're not going to have huge corporations and advertising and be able to pay people a lot of money for this, but we have ourselves, we have our talent, and we have each other. And so if we come together, we can make a bigger splash than if everybody goes out and does their own little, you know, drop here, drop there, drop here. And it was against this background of collaboration and cooperation that I thought to myself, why don't we just bring all these artists together on one stage? We'll bring audiences together, we'll bring flavors together. We learn a lot from every time we put up the Qwela Junction. We learn so much, and we grow so much. And it's been a very big source of inspiration for our fans as well. And so when we did the first one, I remember when we did the first one, there were a lot of articles that came out in the news and said, what's this thing that Qwela is doing? It's not sustainable. They're not going to be able to do it. What are they talking about? They're talking about they're going to do another one. It's not going to happen. Da, 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 da. And then we did the second one, and the second one was bigger than the first one, you know, and people showed up. I think some people just showed up to see what's the hula baloo. Some people showed up to see it would fail, and some people showed up because they loved the first one, you know. And when we did the second one, we actually got, there's a guy who organizes gigs. He's called Biaru, House of DJs. He just walked up to me after the gig and said, yo, this is a home run. I want to be part of work together. I said, yeah, man, you know what? We need help putting some bums in the seats. We need help getting the sponsorship to come in and all of that. You're the guy who seems to always bring in the big budget shows. Can we work together? And sort of then he came in. So it was then collaboration on the corporate side of things. It was collaboration on the musician side of things. And also we started to grow. After that, then we ran a WhatsApp group with all the musicians who are part of it, and then the ones who come in after that are also added to that, and we start getting a conversation going. And you find that within, amongst yourselves, there is so much resource and so much ability to do things, and you can even see like little things that are coming off of the same effort. And man, I mean, for me, it's a very humbling thing to see gathering momentum that that was birthed in my brain, so to speak. And also, I think the other part of it has been the spirit about it, because then you like less competition and more creativity coming up with musicians, a lot of respect, musicians working together, respecting each other, exchanging ideas, helping one another grow. If somebody has been to my show, I go to their show. I won't ask them to give me a free ticket. I'll buy my ticket to get in. I'll call them to come and buy tickets to get into this guy's show. And there's that feeling of growth as an industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to read a comment that somebody dropped in the chat here. I'm sure it must be somebody you know. Dennis Kima said Joe through Qwela has brought many formerly obscure artists to the scene in Uganda. He not only collaborates but profiles others. And I can't tell you how cool I think that is. And what's the saying where they say all ships rise? Why can't I think of the saying? You know that saying where when the water maybe somebody will drop it in the
I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a very wise one. I don't think I've...
Here we go. Rising tide raises all boats, from Crystal.
Rising tide raises all boats, exactly.
You know, and
I very much believe in that.
Yeah, and I do too. But I've seen it in action on some YouTube videos, and I just wanted to give you props for that.
Thank you.
Not surprisingly, we're running out of time. Can you play us? Yeah, I know. I told you an hour would just fly by. Yeah. Don't forget, folks, that tomorrow we're gonna do a whole other hour that's aimed at kids, but it's definitely adults can come too, because Joe's from just a different part of the world and has some really cool ideas about things, as you can tell already. So don't hesitate to tune in tomorrow. I'll give our little outro after you play this next song here, Joe.
All right.
Let's hear one more tune.
All right, let's hear one more tune. Ooh, the hills are green and the skies are blue. Homeland is calling out to you. Things I never see, things I never heard. Await the future, you and me, my friend. Just trying out my little gadget. The hills are green and the skies are blue. Homeland is out to you. Things I never see and things I never heard. Await the future, you and me, my friend. Ija, ija mnyani wanje, ija karunji kanje, ija murunji wanje, ija murunji we. Oshange nyine shange, oshange njurere, oshange antebeke ne, oshange ija mnyani wanje, ija karunji kanje, ija mundi we.
Uh-oh. I'm afraid that we just burned up Joe's internet points. Yeah, we just lost him. I want to... That guy's amazing. Hopefully he's good. Here he is. This is the world we live in, folks. Joe, I see you're connected again. Here we go.
Oshange nyine yindi, oshange njurere, oshange ntebekinde, oshange nyine yindi, ija kanywani kanje, ija karunji kanje, ija kanywani kanje, ija murunji we.
I don't know if you know this, but you cut off in the middle of it, so we missed a big chunk of the middle. But where do I know? I've heard. Is there a video of that on YouTube? I love the chorus of that song. The melody of the chorus is just beautiful.
Thank you very much. We've played that so many times with my band. Never recorded it yet. It's on our upcoming album, The Homecoming. But we've played it so many times. I wouldn't be surprised if you've caught one of the clips from some of our performances.
Yeah,
probably last 2 years.
Yeah, that's cool. I've got a couple of people asking me where can they get your music. I know that's a tough question because
it is a very it is a tough question, especially right now because I'm sort of working out how to get Qwela music onto Spotify and iTunes and all of that. It's not that direct from over here because of the credit and payment systems are different. And yet I don't want my music to be registered to someone else out there who's not myself. So for right now, our fans have been getting the music directly from us. Our fans who are here usually just buy a CD and take that, either get the music off there or play it off the CD, which luckily we still do have quite a few people who use CDs over here. But then also for other people, we've got like I send a link that's downloadable for people who contact me directly through our Facebook page or through our YouTube channel, where then we can send over the music and you download it, and there's options for payments and that kind of thing over the internet or over the mobile networks.
Yeah, let's you and me try to figure out if that would work with, like, why don't I try to buy an album off of you that way and see if it works. I'm sure let's try it and see. I know that buying stuff across bank systems, which is essentially what we're dealing with, can be tricky. But let's try it and see if we can give people access to buy your music tomorrow on the kids episode. Joe,
the beautiful thing about people buying music from over there to here is that, for example, the price of a CD price of like an album, when I translate it from here, it comes up to like $4 kind of thing. Here is like a fair price, and then when I tell people over there, it's like, "Are you sure?"
Right.
$20. I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, why not? Yeah. Which is really cool. Like I think that's the cool side of the economics that we are working across the channels.
Yeah. Let's try to make that. Let's try to make your stuff available for people who are tuning in tomorrow. So it has been an hour, and I'm going to wrap things up. This has been the Bluegrass Ambassadors Academy. Joe, do you think after I give this little spiel, you could play one last little tune?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. All right.
I'll be happy to do that.
Cool. So this is the Bluegrass Ambassadors Academy. We're going to be doing the same thing tomorrow. It'll be a little bit different content, less COVID and music business, and maybe more music. But make sure you join us for that. Obviously, this guy is really special. If you want to help us, we have been paying the musicians. We're really proud to be doing that through this because it's a really tough time to be a professional musician. If you want to, you can go to bluegrassambassadors.org/donate or use our PayPal, paypal.me/bluegrassambassadors to help us continue paying these artists. And if you're on Zoom, help us by filling out a survey at the end of the Zoom that'll give you an opportunity to tell us what you thought of the thing here. So once again, this is from Kampala, Uganda. This is Joe Kahiri. Joe, will you take us out with one last song?
Gladly.
When I was young, my daddy taught me. He said, son, is the secret to success in life. He said, find that thing which you can do best and just give it your very, very, very best shot. Iwe mwana wanje we, iwe mwana wanje we, iwe mwana wanje we, iwe mwana wanje we. They said that you can't do it, but they don't know where you're from. They said that you can't make it, they don't know what you've been through. Iwe mwana wanje we, iwe mwana wanje we, iwe mwana wanje we, iwe mwana wanje we. Judo, never give up. Never give up. You must never give up. You must never give up. Judo, never give up. Never give up. You must never give up. You must never give up. So when they come and they tell you it can't be done. Look them in the eye and tell them I'm gonna try it anyway. Iwe mwana wanje we. Iwe mwana wanje we. Iwe mwana wanje we. Iwe mwana wanje we.
So, okay, I'm sorry. I still want. We're saying goodbye here, but we talked about this song. Can you give me a little context for it?
So this song is a song. So all through my time thinking and writing songs, and the cause that I feel very, very passionately about is growing up on a continent that is packed with so much potential, and all this potential never quite being realized, but being sort of enslaved by a perception that you never quite make a useful contribution. I'm talking about the African context. Most of the time, African ideas and African creativity take a backseat to everything else. Our discoveries, our art is taken as, crafts and little, you never find that we take ourselves that seriously, or that people take us, the rest of the world takes us that seriously. And I think it boils back down to the fact that we've been told so many times, and we've started to tell ourselves and teach our children that you can only ever be something in a foreign text. Our history is told to us from in books that are written in a foreign language, and they're nitpicked, so you'll not hear the stories that empower you. You hear the stories that tell you that you're who you are because you are by somebody who only sort of warned you at some point, or development or evolution. The rest of the world, when they look at Africa, or when you see Africa portrayed in the movies in Hollywood, the Africans is like some butt naked native on a zebra with like a bone through their nose, like type of thing,
Yeah.
And you'll never see the cities, you'll never see the professors, you'll never see the intellectuals, you never see the works of art, you never see the civilizations and the great empires that came all the way before all of that. Like all of that part is skipped out, and it's just like bushland and animals, and it's not uncommon for somebody to ask, "Oh, you're from Africa, so like, do you have like, do you know how to talk to animals?" type of thing. And what the expectation? That's the one narrative. Well, okay, the narrative is like disease and, poor Africans are gonna die because there's a disease that's come, and the resilience and the ingenuity that always overcomes those adversities is ignored. And so this song, coming back to the song, is a song that defies that narrative and chooses to say, you know what, I'm from the ground. I know the rhythm of the roots, and I know the thoughts that come from there. And I'm not prepared to take on a narrative that's disempowering for myself or for my people that listen to me. And it's also like calling on to other people who may have been through the same to start believing in their own thought, believing in their own context, believing that where God has placed us, He placed us there for a reason, and that we are capable within what He has given us. So that's what it's about. Mwana wanje simply means my child. It's like I'm speaking to my child, telling him, listen, when they tell you it can't be done, just say I'm going to do it anyway, because it always looks impossible till it's done.
I think that's a beautiful place to leave things for today. I shared the music video for that song in the Zoom chat, and I'll kick over and do it on Facebook too as soon as I kind of hang up the phone here. Joe, you're incredible. I've been listening to your music all week. It's very inspiring. Let's figure out how to get your music into hands of people who tuned in today, and
Awesome.
and I'll see you tomorrow, man.
Thank you, Ben. It's been a pleasure. Really awesome. I'm enjoying collaborating. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I have this hope, if not feeling, that this won't be these 2 episodes won't be the last time that we connect.
Oh yeah, I have many thoughts brewing in my head as well.
Right,
So yeah,
right, yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe. We'll see you. We'll see everybody tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central, 7 p.m. East Africa time, and everybody have a good day, and we'll talk to you all soon. See you guys.